Welcome to RIP News. Today, June 5, 2025, we bring you the heartbreaking news of 7 American legends who passed away in the last 24 hours. In this episode, we pay tribute to their incredible legacies. If you find value in our content, please like, support, and subscribe to RIP News for more updates. Edmund White. Ever wonder who dared to write openly about gay life when it was barely whispered? Edmund White didn't just write, he redefined what it meant to be a queer voice. Born in 1940, his childhood wasn't easy. Raised near Chicago, he faced conversion therapy and turned down Harvard twice, once to study Chinese, then to chase love to New York. That gamble paid off. His first novel, Forgetting Elena, hit shelves in 1973, earning raves from none other than Vladimir Nabokov, who called it marvelous. White was just getting started. In 1977, he co-wrote The Joy of Gay Sex, a book that shocked some and empowered others with its unapologetic, sex-positive vibe. Critics loved it, others clutched their pearls. But that wasn't the whole story. White joined the Violet Quill, a group of gay writers shaping the future of queer literature. Their work broke barriers, and White's raw honesty led the charge. Then came the AIDS crisis. While many stayed silent, White co-founded the Gay Men's Health Crisis in New York and spoke openly about his HIV diagnosis. Remarkably, he thrived as a long-term non-progressor, writing from France as the epidemic raged. His trilogy, A Boy's Own Story, The Beautiful Room is Empty, and The Farewell Symphony, bared his soul, weaving his life into fiction that won him awards like the Pen or Saul Bellow. Rumors swirled about his frank depictions of promiscuity, with some calling his work too bold. And what happened next? He married writer Michael Carroll in 2013, living openly and unapologetically. Edmund White, who passed in 2025 at 85, didn't just write stories, he sparked a movement. So, who's carrying his torch today? Marc Garneau. What does it take to be the first Canadian in space and a key player in shaping a nation's future? Marc Garneau, a man of courage and vision, blazed a trail from the stars to the halls of power, leaving a legacy that stunned the world. Sadly, his journey ended on June 4, 2025, after a short illness, but his story still captivates us. Born in Quebec City in 1949, Joseph Jean-Pierre Marc Garneau grew up under the influence of his father, Brigadier General André Garneau. That military discipline fueled his early drive, shaping a kid from Quebec into a future pioneer. But his path was about to take a turn beyond the battlefield. Garneau earned a bachelor's in engineering physics from the Royal Military College of Canada in 1970, then pushed further, snagging a PhD in electrical engineering from London's Imperial College in 1973. His research on facial image perception was cutting edge, but he didn't stop there. As a combat systems engineer aboard HMCS Algonquin, he honed his skills in the Canadian Navy. Yet, a bigger frontier was calling his name. In 1983, the National Research Council of Canada picked Garneau from over 4,300 hopefuls to join its first astronaut group. On October 5, 1984, he made history, rocketing aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger as the first Canadian in space during the STS-41G mission. 2 more flights followed, STS-77 in 1996 and STS-97 in 2000, logging an astonishing 677 hours among the stars. And what happened next would shock everyone. By 2001, Garneau took the helm as Executive Vice President of the Canadian Space Agency, rising to President later that year. He drove Canada's space ambitions forward until 2005, when he stepped down. Rumors swirled. Some speculated politics was his next frontier, while others wondered what pulled him away. But that wasn't the whole story. In 2008, Garneau leaped into politics, winning a Montreal area seat in Parliament for the Liberal Party. He served as Minister of Transport from 2015 to 2021, steering Canada through turbulent times, then took on foreign affairs in 2021. But after the 2021 election, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau left him out of the cabinet shuffle, a move that surprised many. Speculation buzzed. Reports claimed tensions or a shift in priorities might have played a role. His story leaves us wondering about the impact one person can have. Garneau retired from politics in 2023, closing a chapter of remarkable service. Nicole Croisille. What's the voice behind the unforgettable DABA that defined a generation? Nicole Croisille, the French singer and actress who passed away in 2025 at 88, was so much more than a soundtrack legend. Her story is one of grit, talent, and hidden struggles that'll leave you stunned. In 1966, Croisille's voice soared in A Man and a Woman, her solo Today It's You and duets with Pierre Baru becoming instant classics. That iconic DABA won hearts worldwide, but her journey started long before. Born in 1936, she danced at the Comédie Française and studied mime with Marcel Marceau. By her teens, jazz pulsed through her veins, leading her to sing in Chicago's smoky clubs, earning the nickname Soul Sister. But that wasn't the whole story. In 1974, Croisille aimed for Eurovision with Tu m'avais dit, only to lose to Danny. Then, France pulled out after President Pompidou's passing, a twist no one saw coming. And what happened next would shock everyone. Croisille faced Meniere's disease, a condition messing with her balance and hearing. Yet, she never stopped performing, proving her strength. From films like Erotisimo to theatre in Hello, Dolly, she dazzled across genres. Her 1970s hits like Téléphone Moi and One Femme avec Toi spoke to women's hearts, cementing her as a star. When she passed in June 2025, tributes poured in from Claude Lely to fans on X, calling her a passeuse de lumière. Nicole Croisille's voice didn't just sing love songs, it told a story of resilience. Her music lives on, but what's the one song you'd play to remember her? Philippe Labro. What if one man's life connected a JFK mystery, gripping films, and a legacy that spanned decades? Philippe Labro, the French icon who left us at 88, lived exactly that story. At 18, he bolted from France to study at Washington and Lee University in Virginia, soaking in the American spirit. He roamed the US, a young adventurer gathering experiences that would fuel his future. But that wasn't the whole story. Back in Europe, Labro dove into reporting, a passion briefly paused by his military service during the Algerian War from 1960 to 1962. His knack for being in the right place at the right time, or maybe the wrong one, landed him in Dallas, covering John F. Kennedy's assassination for Francois. Days before Jack Ruby gunned down Lee Harvey Oswald, Labro met the man himself, a chilling brush with history. That encounter led to an official interview with the Warren Commission, sparking questions that linger to this day. Then came the silver screen. Labro directed bold films like Without Apparent Motive in 1971, The Inheritor in 1973, and El Alpaga in 1976, each packed with tension and style. His close bond with legendary director Jean-Pierre Melville, revealed in the 2008 documentary Code Name Melville, hinted at a creative spark few could match. And what happened next would shock everyone. Beyond film, Labro's pen struck gold. His 1986 autobiography, À l'étudiant étranger, snagged the prestigious Prix Inter Rally, offering a raw look at his youth abroad. He didn't stop there, powering through media roles at RTL, Paris Match, TF1, and Antenne 2. He rose to director of programs at RTL from 1985 to 2000 and even became vice president in 1992. His influence was undeniable. In 2010, France named him commander of the Légion d'honneur, a dazzling honor for a life of impact. But whispers in recent years turned to his health. Rumors suggested a quiet battle, though details stayed scarce. Then, on June 4, 2025, the news broke. Philippe Labro passed away in Paris at 88, taken by cancer. Ilselil Larsen. What happens when a star shines bright, only to vanish into the shadows? Ilselil Larsen, a name etched in Denmark's cinematic history, was just a child when she captivated audiences, but her story leaves us with more questions than answers. Born in Aarhus in 1934, she stepped into the spotlight during the golden age of Danish cinema, only to disappear after a whirlwind career. Let's unravel the mystery of this forgotten star. At just 6 years old, Ilselil Larsen landed her first role in The Child in 1940, a film that introduced her to a nation hungry for stories. Denmark's film industry was booming, and Larsen, with her natural charm, quickly became a face to watch. As a child actress, she navigated a world of adult pressures, but her performances felt effortless. What was it like to be a kid in such a demanding spotlight? That's where the intrigue begins. The 1940s and 1950s were a golden era for Danish cinema, with films that blended raw emotion and bold storytelling. Larsen starred in 16 movies, including hits like Det Gælder Os Alle and Love Wins Out, both from 1949. These weren't just films, they were cultural moments, capturing Denmark's post-war hopes and struggles. Larsen's ability to shift from innocent roles to deeper, dramatic ones showed a talent beyond her years. But what fueled her drive at such a young age? Let's talk about Det Gælder Os Alle, a film that tackled heavy social issues like family and morality. Larsen's role wasn't just a cameo, she brought a quiet intensity that made audiences pause. Critics at the time praised her for stealing scenes, but behind those performances, whispers of the grueling life of child actors swirled. Long hours, intense directors, and the weight of fame, did these shape her path? We can only wonder. By 1958, after 16 films, Larsen's career came to a halt. She was only 24. Why walk away from fame? Some say she craved a normal life, far from the cameras. Others speculate personal struggles kept her out of the public eye. No confirmed scandals or controversies mark her story, but that silence only deepens the mystery. What was she hiding? Or was she just done with the spotlight? Her later years are a blank page. After decades out of Hollywood, Larsen passed away in May 2025 at 90, as noted in recent posts online. Birgit Carlstén. Ever wonder what drove a small-town Swedish girl to captivate stages, screens, and hearts worldwide? Birgit Carlstén's story is one of talent, mystery, and untapped legacy. Born Birgit Maria Christine Carlstén on December 8, 1949, in Huskvarna, Sweden, she grew up far from the spotlight. With a grandfather who'd ventured to France, her roots hinted at a flair for the dramatic. She dove into acting, training at Skara Skolsen and the Marmo Theatre Academy in the early 70s, ready to chase a dream few dared to pursue. Her career ignited on Sweden's stages. Pioneer Theatre, Riksdagen, and the Comedy Theatre in Stockholm saw her bold spirit shine. From Helsingborg to Karlstad, Birgit tackled roles with a fire that left audiences buzzing. But that wasn't the whole story. In 1986, she landed a part in Andrei Tarkovsky's The Sacrifice, a haunting Swedish film that split opinions. Some hailed her depth, others found the slow burn too much. Either way, her name was on everyone's lips. Television called next. Birgit brought grit to Salten and Polisen Arc de Marmaduke, proving she could master any medium. She even teamed up with Tommy Engstrand to win Pass Parrot in 1996, charming fans with her wit. And what happened next would shock everyone. Birgit took on Edith Piaf. With family ties to France, She channeled the icon's raw pain, blending Swedish and French vibes into performances that stunned listeners. Critics raved, but some whispered her intensity pushed boundaries too far. Fast forward, and whispers turned to mystery. Birgit stayed active, tied to the Alf Henriksen Society and Smålands Academy, yet she slipped from the public eye. Rumors suggest health struggles kept her quiet, but no one knew the full tale. Then, on June 2, 2025, news broke. Birgit Carlstén passed away in Uppsala at 75, after a battle with illness, P4 Jonkoping revealed. Fans wondered, what shaped her final years? Did her French roots or hidden challenges define that chapter? Pietro Ghislandi, who was the only Italian ventriloquist to steal the spotlight on national TV. Pietro Ghislandi wasn't just a name, he was a whirlwind of wit, charm, and surreal talent that captivated audiences for decades. Born in Bergamo in 1957, Ghislandi carved out a legacy that blended comedy, cinema, and a touch of mystery. Let's dive into the story of a man who gave voice to puppets and life to characters like no other. It all started in 1986 on Rai Uno's Fantastico 7, where Ghislandi and his puppet Sergio became overnight sensations. His ventriloquism wasn't just skill, it was magic. Without moving a single facial muscle, he brought Sergio's cheeky personality to life, earning a spot as a finalist and winning hearts across Italy. His show, The Left Ventriculus, toured the country, blending fanciful humor with a style that felt anything but ordinary. But there was more to come from this versatile performer. Ghislandi didn't stop at puppets. In 1985, he stepped into cinema as Renato Pozzetto's stand-in for E Arrivato Mio Fratello, proving he could match the comedy legend's quirky energy. By 1987, his role as a gay recruit in Soldati 365 All Alba showed a different side, expressive, bold, and critically acclaimed. His surreal acting style, often compared to Pozzetto's, made him a go-to character actor for directors like Marco Risi. And that was just the beginning of his big-screen journey. Soon, Ghislandi's face was everywhere, even in your living room. He starred in iconic Italian commercials, from Acqua Ulevato alongside soccer star Alessandro Del Piero to Caffè Kimbo with Gigi Proietti. His quirky charm and expressive flair made him unforgettable, even in 30-second spots. One campaign, where he played Uncle Fester for Unieuro, even snagged a key award. But what happened next would cement his place in comedy history. Enter Leonardo Pieraccioni, the director, who saw Ghislandi as more than a character actor. In films like Illinois Principe e Illinois Pirata and Illinois Professor Cenerentola, Ghislandi brought his signature humor to roles like the convict Pangrattato, earning laughs and love from audiences. Pieraccioni himself called him an upbeat, positive man, a friend who lit up every set. Their collaboration became a cornerstone of Ghislandi's later career, blending his knack for comedy with heartfelt performances. Beyond the screen, Ghislandi's voice was his secret weapon. He lent it to Disney characters and Bruno Bozzetto's cartoons, even stepping in for the iconic Linea character by Osvaldo Cavandoli. His vocal precision was unmatched, whether in animation or his theatrical performances like The Typewriter, where he paid tribute to Jerry Lewis. And yet, there was another layer to this enigmatic artist waiting to be uncovered. Offstage, Ghislandi was a mystery. He kept his private life tightly guarded, leaving fans curious but respectful. Was he married? Did he have children? No one knows for sure, as he preferred his Bergamo roots to the glare of gossip. Reports suggest he valued tranquility over fame, letting his work speak louder than his personal story. But that silence only added to his allure. Tragically, in June 2025, Pietro Ghislandi passed away, at 68, after a long illness, leaving a void in Italian entertainment.